What is going on, guys? It is Jay here, aka Mojo Sports, coming at you guys with the Collector Podcast, episode 9 here. And I'm here with Nat Turner. You guys have probably heard of him. He's paved the way for a lot of us collectors, people in the industry. Nat, for you to make time out of your day for this, I want to thank you so much.
No problem. Good to be here.
Heck yeah, man. So what year did you start collecting, and what kind of fueled your passion for this thing?
It was probably early 90s. I was a kid, and we lived overseas for a bit, and then we moved to Houston. So my dad got me a few Hank Aaron cards. He was a big baseball fan. He's from Atlanta area, so he would follow the Braves. We'd watch Braves games. And when we moved back to Houston, I picked up the Astros. So I'd go to the games, get autographs, mainly always on the visitor side, because I always had a chance to get the Stros. And then that kind of, ballooned into cards, I collected Beckett magazines. I collected all sorts of sports stuff, baseballs. I caught a foul ball once, so I got obsessed with having, baseballs that were signed and, all that sort of thing. And then we had a really cool local card shop in the Woodlands, where I grew up in north of Houston, that had a really good selection of, at the time, 90s basketball. Rockets were doing really well then. This is when Jordan took a little hiatus. So we won a couple championships, and that really got me into basketball. Kobe was a rookie in 96. I loved following him and AI. So anyway, yeah, it just kind of ballooned from there. But I was probably 5 or 6 years old when I first started.
That's what's up. So you mentioned in-person autographing. I think that's funny because that's how I started, and then it kind of bloomed into cards, and I kind of like graduated my collection up into the tiers. What was your first experience with like your starstruck moment with a player?
Oh, I actually remember this one. I was at the Astros, and Nolan Ryan was there. I don't think he actually pitched or was playing even in the game. I think he was just there. And I was always over the visitors' dugout. I was young. I was like 6, 7 years old, like little kid with a baseball and a pen, and all these older guys were trying to elbow and get their autograph. And so I would kind of I was probably one of the younger kids there. And so I remember Nolan came up and signed one. I got JD Drew. That was I got Mark McGuire was a cool one. This was 93, 94. Oh, no, it wouldn't have been 93. This would have been maybe 96, 95, something like that. I'm trying to think who else were big that I got. I got all those Astros, like Bagwell, Biggio. But I saw those guys we went to a lot of games. So I probably saw him, pretty frequently, and got a lot of odd things signed by him. The visitors ones were always cool, like going to the Braves. Oh, sorry. Actually, my biggest one was Maddox, because I was a big Braves fan. And I remember getting Maddox was so cool. He didn't sign a lot. I remember it was everybody would be like, oh, he's he never signs. He comes out, he skips the autographs or whatever. And he came by, and I positioned myself right when he walks into the dugout, over the dugout. And he, signed for 3 of us, and I was one of them. So that was pretty cool.
Hey, how'd that feel? That must have felt good, because all those people were probably just oh, he's not going to sign, and you got it. That's such a good feeling.
Well, I'm sure you do the same thing. I used to have I'd prepare. So I'd have 2 or 3 baseball cards of every player. I'd have so Maddox was on the cover of Beckett, I think. So I had him, or the back. I had him sign a Beckett. I had all the items, depending on who the player was, I'd bust out, whatever it was, that I wanted signed. And so Maddox, I remember I got him on a Beckett. So that was cool.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned Maddox, because a lot of my followers will get a thrill out of you mentioning that, because Maddox goes to these celebrity golf tournaments, and quote unquote, he makes you work for it. People buy him beers at the golf course, and he'll be like, I'm not signing. And then he'll look at us. He's like, all right, I'm signing.
Yeah.
So back then he was like that. He respects the hustle.
Yeah, he wasn't very kind with autographs, but that's it. So.
Yeah, I get that. So I noticed you had that letter from your local card shop. Do you have a favorite? Because I think all of us, the local card shop, I'm at my, hometown of Sacramento, Teammate Sports Cards, is where it all began. I told this person last night, I'm like, that's where they created the monster. And, do you have a favorite memory from your local card shop?
Oh, sure. Yeah. I pulled a bunch of cool stuff. I mean, nothing crazy high end, but as a kid, I pulled at a 98 Upper Deck, and remember that Vince Carter, like where he's dunking, purple jersey, kind of like brown card, like the Encore. I pulled his rookie card in that shop. I pulled a PMG Kerry Kittles green from 97 metal. Although I'm having trouble remembering if I bought that pack and then opened it there, or I bought the pack there. I'm like struggle to remember that. I've pulled my first autographics there. I'll never forget. It was Scott Pollard, however you pronounce
Oh
it.
my God, he was a king, bro. He was our bruiser. You're a Laker fan, so you probably know him.
97, 98. I think it was 97. I pulled that one. I pulled the Kobe EX rookie. That was huge for me in 96. I'll never forget that one. The EX 2000 product. Yeah, I mean, I'd hang out there. I'd hang out there for hours. It was in our mall, so your parents would drop you off at the mall with a couple friends, and they'd pick you up 4 hours later. We'd do like a loop around the mall, and then I'd stop by, the shop for probably 2 or 3 different times in the 4 hours. But I would just hang out there, and I'd open packs. I didn't have a ton of money. I was a kid, right? So I'd maybe afford like 1 or 2 packs, each time I went, like once a week or something. Mainly trying to, trade and mess around, or just gawk at the cards that were behind the glass. So, yeah.
Back then, when you guys were like opening boxes, and like I'm talking 90s here, like did you have like money motives of like, oh yeah, you're gonna pull the big card, or like how did that feel? Like when you pulled the Kobe, like what'd you do with it?
I don't think I opened a single box as a kid because I couldn't afford it. So I mean, I didn't have, like, opening a box back then would have been like, the ultimate luxury, which is probably why I open all the boxes now, because I'm like remembering, wishing I could have done that all those years. No, but I would, again, I would buy a pack or two. I couldn't really do much more than that. And so I was really into buying singles when if I could afford it. So I had an eBay account. This is back in like 97. Like my eBay account is still like, it says created and whatever. It's like, it's been 20, 25 years or something. So I would buy like, $20 and under cards on eBay that I wanted. Like I really like Jason Williams in 98. Steve Francis was my guy in 99. Like Vince Carter, I loved Paul Pierce, obviously Kobe, AI, those guys. And back then, you could buy like cool inserts of Kobe and stuff for like 10, $15 on eBay. I remember I bought the Dunk and Go Nuts Jordan on eBay for $50. That was actually one of my biggest purchases was a Vince Carter SPX Finite, the rookie, where, the vertical card numbered out of, I think it was 1,500. I bought that for like $175. That was probably the biggest purchase I'd made as a kid on eBay. But I would do the money. Yeah. So like I would buy and sell. So I had a card, a booth at a card show, the local card show at a Holiday Inn. I'd go like 4 or 5 times a year. I'd have this was before high school. So I would have like, 8th, 7th, 8th grade. I was displaying, selling, buying on off season, selling on sale. I was buying Rockets cards online, selling them locally. All those things. And I had one day where I pulled down like $800, $900, which was huge, like a kid with a stack of cash, right? I remember counting it. My dad picked me up and I was in the front seat. Like, he's like, how much money do you have there? I was like counting it. Yeah, I mean, those are the memories I have, but I was definitely motivated by collecting, but also at the time, like, earning some pocket cash, but not to do anything other than go buy more packs at the dugout.
I get that. You talk about your parents. So you said your dad kind of like collected. Like when your parents saw you doing this, like what were they thinking? Like were they pretty supportive?
Yeah. My dad wasn't a big collector. He's a collector of coins. He doesn't have a lot of cards. I think his mom threw away his card. He played baseball, I think, growing up, but yeah, he wasn't really into the collecting thing. I think I was always a little overly focused on certain things. Like I'd have hobbies, like whatever, like most kids do, and then for whatever reason, I'd be really obsessed with like a couple of them and just like, go all in, or what, I wouldn't do anything else. And I don't think he realized that's what ultimately happened with cards, but he was very supportive. I mean, they would take me to the shows. They would hang out in the parking lot. They would, give me my space. They would, they wouldn't, they wouldn't like make me get rid of them or purge. Like my room was, from floor to ceiling, baseball and basketball cards, posters. Like I mean, most kids like that, I guess. But no, they're very. I mean, like on doing online, like I had a lot of packages showing up every Monday. I used to joke Monday was my favorite day because most people's least favorite day, but for me, it's when packages showed up over the weekend.
Yeah.
So I'd come home from school, there'd be 10 or 20 eBay packages.
Oh, dude, that feeling when you're coming home after like an algebra 2 test or something just going on when I was in high school. It's funny, I'm talking in 2010. I don't know when this was for you, but you just come home and you had mail, and like I'd put it on, and with YouTube, I'd open it up and it would just be like, it'd be like a DeMarcus Cousins card, something that was like hometown and it meant something to me.
Yeah, those are the memories I have. So my parents are very supportive.
Absolutely. That's amazing. Yeah. My parents like didn't get it for a bit, but they always supported it. And now they're just seeing it and they're just like, okay, like you're implementing marketing and everything you're doing. And like, that's fine. Whatever works,
Yeah.
Let's talk about struggles. Maybe, I guess as a kid, obviously you talked about maybe not having enough money, but let's transition into like later years, like struggling with like within collecting. Like, did you have anything that like you had to climb over while collecting?
Yeah. And to be clear, like we didn't struggle so much financially. It's more that, we didn't have a lot of budget for cards. And so struggling for me in the card business was more about, wanting certain things that I couldn't get. So like Steve Francis, for example, in 99, like I really wanted, you may remember the SPX, clear card autograph.
The acetates.
Yeah. So like that, exactly. So like that was like $500 or something at the time. And like that card, it drove me crazy that I couldn't have that card. I mean, he was the player in 1999. So the rookie card was huge. Vince Carter was that way the year before. Tim Duncan, refractor, top screen. So anyway, I wanted these cards as a kid. It drove me crazy, right? I was saying before, like I was all in on cards. It drove me nuts that I couldn't have these things. I would beg my parents, to spend whatever, a few $100. I'm like, it wasn't in the cards. And so no pun intended. So I couldn't really get those. And so it drove me nuts. And so when I earned a little money thankfully in more later on, but in college, I had an internship and some like website designs that I had done, for a contract that gave me a few $1,000s, and I spent all of that money on cards. But then when I made real money in 2010, I was like, again, it was like a 20-year, 15-year, like pent up, like anger that I didn't
the revenge tour. You had some Mamba mentality in you, dude.
Yeah. So I ended up just, going nuts, and I bought like thousands of cards in like the span of 2 years in 2010 through 12.
But that was a good time because that's when I started. And I don't know if you remember in 2010, like, I don't know, from the perspective I got from my card shop owner, like they weren't doing that well.
No. Yeah. But like, I remember I got a lot of shit for it, pardon my language, on Blowout, the forums, because people like Nat's raising the prices or whatever of MJ, and like I truly didn't care because.
Is it because you bought it out?
I don't know. First of all, I don't even know if that's true, but I doubt it. But the point, I was buying one of everything. The point is I just wanted them. I literally couldn't care if they were going to go up or if I overpaid, if I underpaid. Like it was just about owning the card. So like I just kind of turned off the noise, but I thought it was very high. A lot of people thought that was the peak back then. Cards were definitely more expensive than they were a few years prior. I was buying LeBron cards in a big way in 03. And like, Topps Chrome Gold refractors were $2,000, $1,000, now they're $1 million. So you can't comprehend, like back then, 03, spending $1,000 on a piece of cardboard. Like it truly was insane. And like people would openly make fun of you on forums and, your friends and family. So, anyway, so struggles. I mean, yeah, look, for me, it was not being able to complete certain sets. Like I wanted one of every LeBron rookie, a bunch of one-on-ones came up on eBay. I couldn't afford them. $3,000-$4,000. This is 0304. I wanted an exquisite RPA. LeBron couldn't afford it for 8 years. It took me 8, like it came out in 03. I couldn't afford it until 2011. Most people, again, I'm very lucky that I could afford it at that point. But the point is as a collector, that's what drove me. I just wanted to get the things that I needed for the collection to feel complete. So, yeah.
I get that. I totally get that. You talk about that perfectionism. I was telling you from my perspective, I just don't settle today, but you kind of strive for perfection, whether it's collecting or as an entrepreneur or what you've done. Would you say perfection's paved the way for your success? To strive for
Um,
that?
yeah, I guess. I mean, you're never perfect. It's just, you strive for it, but you never actually get there. So it can be somewhat insane, but yeah, like when you complete a set, actually the funny thing is like when you're done with a set, it's actually super anticlimactic. Like, oh, like, like I'm on to the next one. It's the chase that matters and is what's so much fun. And so perfecting a set, so to speak, it's a good example, like a PSA 10 96 top chrome refractor set. Like I'm going after that. I'm like halfway through. Like it may take me 20 years to finish that, and I want it to be perfect. But it probably will be a long time, or if ever, before it is. So yeah, and in business, always wanting to have the right process or have the right team certainly is a big part of it. But yeah, I guess it's strive for perfection with knowing that you're likely not going to get there, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't try. So yeah,
That I like that. Something I talk about when I go to these card shops or these shows with people is, you know, the hobby and the community. Like, let's fast forward a little bit. The community and the hobby have basically shaped a lot of our, I don't know, I'd say it's shaped a lot of who I've become. The hobby helped me a lot, when I was younger, I was overweight and I was struggling, and people thought this was weird when I was collecting, but I loved it, and that's what mattered in the end. And what I want to ask you is, would you say the community and the hobby, like collecting as a hobby, has like helped form you into what you do? Or is it more of just like, what has it done for you? Like your life?
um, so interesting question. Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of friends in the hobby for sure. People that I've spoken with sometimes on a daily basis for 15, 20 years. In many ways, I know them better than like my in real life friends, the non-card people, right?
Yeah.
So that's really, important or valuable. But look, I learned business through cards. I learned how to negotiate. I learned how to buy and sell, supply demand economics. I learned how to take risks and speculate and marketing and, concepts of insurance and like everything in business for me at least can be rooted in cards. So, um, in that regard, I wouldn't trade that focus or whatever you want to call it for anything. Nowadays it's a therapeutic thing for me. I spend 2 or 3 hours every day on cards, organizing, scanning, looking up on eBay or Golden or whatever, going through, my old sets, whatever. Actually, one of my favorite things to do is when I trade a card, I don't really sell, but when I trade something, like going to look for the card, it often takes me hours to find a card that I've promised someone in a trade. And I'll have to go through 25 briefcases of cards, drive down to a vault, like whatever I have to do. And that's actually one of the most fun things because it's like an Easter egg hunt. I haven't seen the card perhaps in 10 years, and I get to discover all these other cards in the process. That's a really important part of my day is just, it's like, it's less stressful. It kind of brings your blood pressure down. Unless you can't find the card, and then, then the blood pressure.
Then you're gonna be a little stressed out.
That has happened. I still have like 3 or 4 cards unaccounted for that I know I have. I just don't know where they are. I had to call off the trade because I literally couldn't find them. But anyway, yeah. There's a 98 Vince Carter Skybox Skybox Premium Star Rubies out of 25, BGS 8.5. I actually know serial number, everything. Still missing an action somewhere in my in my collection.
Oh shoot!
Yeah.
What's it called? With everything going on in the kind of like rush of the hobby, let's talk about the younger generation. I think passing the torch. I've been really big about that. The kids are really important for this thing, for the hobby wise. With the rising costs of getting into this hobby, I mean, prices are ridiculous. I mean, trying to go like Target and Walmart finally regulated that, so you get one. There's like a blaster box available, right? What can we do for the younger generation? Like, how can we influence them to come into this thing? Like I started when I was 14. So what can we do for them?
Yeah. I mean, I think what Walmart and Target are doing is better. I think more direct to consumer would probably be a better way to do it. I think the manufacturers distribute too much through, my opinion, through the distributors and dealers. I think if they gave more allocation, allow kids, for example, to sign up online and get a box every month from Panini, at a particular price instead of having to go through a card shop online that, is 5 times the price and they're making all the margin. The kids should be pulling those cards and, that sort of thing. I think local card shops, I think they don't get enough allocation from the manufacturers either. There's too much allocation going to the random e-commerce sites and big dealers who kind of, aggregate and stockpile this stuff. That's another one. I think shows we should really create more fun for kids. I think just the booths are interesting, but I think it'd be really cool to have more participation style stuff. Like you think about box breaks. Like you walk in, if you're under 10, you get a pack slot and a box break at the show. Like stuff. It's so commercial. But I think you can create more entertainment out of it. Like my son, who's 5, he goes to the show. He's sitting on my shoulders the whole time. He's like, you can't wait till we find a booth that has like candy on it or something. Like, he doesn't give a shit about the cards behind cases. But like opening packs is so fun for him. And there's some really cool guys at the show in White Plains that hand out free packs to kids. Like, it's those little things that like the shows. The National is just all business. I think if they allowed, maybe it's like if you're under 18, you get like half off the booth. It's another idea, to get them into it. To me, though, it starts with the product, the upstream product of allocation for the manufacturers. It's become too hoarded by the dealers who are profiting from it. So, in my opinion.
I get that for sure. You talk about your son, you have a family. So when you want to do card stuff, like I don't have a family. I mean, I have my family, but just when I'm in that zone, I guess we can call it the zone, where you just kind of go through all the boxes, go and reminisce. How do you develop the balance to do that? Like, and how does your family feel? Like your kids, obviously you got kids, so how do you find the balance?
It's not that hard for me, at least. I mean, I turn off when I need to and turn on when necessary. I mean, this morning I woke up, as an example, my son woke me up at 6:15, and he had a box of 1982 Donruss that I'd given him. It's, $100 or something. It's like, old box junk wax. And he had the checklist out, and he wanted to open packs with me and like check off the ones that he found in the packs. Like, there's literally nothing I enjoy doing more than like that with him. And like we pulled a Nolan Ryan, and he knew it was off centered, and so he was like, "Oh, it's a put it in the trash pile." I was like, I was trying to explain that, like, even though it's off centered with Nolan Ryan, like,
That's so good.
it's probably like a $7 card, right? Like, but and off centered, and it was the ding corner and like whatever. So, I mean, that's the kind of, like, try and find things that we do together that that get him into it. I take him to the shows. There's a card shop, Bob Beck's Collectibles in Livingston, New Jersey, we drive out to. Grab a slice of pizza and open a pack of cards. Like, you just got to keep him, in my case, keep him engaged with it. So, yeah.
I like that. That's cool. You state nothing's for sale on your Instagram. So I think it's funny. I'll say this. You know how you said, like, on blowouts, the people are kind of giving you shit? Yeah. It's so funny to me because these people don't realize that you guys are doing, you and like, Gary and the other guys, you guys are doing, you don't care about, I don't know about Gary, but like, I'll talk for you. Like, you don't care about what the value of, like, oh, if I own all of them, it's going to go up. Right. But like, you state nothing's for sale. So is there a reason for that today? Or are you just like trading or?
Well, I buy things that I want for my collection. So I'm not buying things to speculate on them. Right. Like the purpose of my buying them is to keep them and have them as part of a set or whatever. So there's no, like, thankfully I don't like need to sell cards. It's not how I earn my living. So to me, it's like a pure collection thing. I mean, occasionally, like, if a friend of mine really, really, really wants a card, I have 2 of them and I don't have any, and he doesn't have anything to trade for it that I need. Like, in that, if like those 3 things are satisfied, occasionally, I'll sell something, but it's pretty on the rare side, I would say.
I get that. You're just a collector. Like,
yeah.
Yeah. That's see for me, I'm in like the trap of like being grounded in collecting like DeMarcus and then like literally like making content and like doing the stuff to profit off the sports card industry. It's kind of a tough balance. I'm trying to work it out, obviously. So I get that.
Yeah.
So disregarding value here, is there a card that's priceless that you just will never ever move no matter what?
I mean, look, I've talked about before. I have like a 75 tops Hank Aaron that my dad gave me. I have a PSA 10 of the mini version. I probably would never move that. Probably, the PMG green Kobe and Jordan that I own. My exquisite LeBron BGS 95, which was when I got back into the hobby in a really big way in 2010. That was like I said before, the first purchase I went kind of, reached for, I guess. I don't think I could ever, see myself moving that. Yeah, most of my high-end vintage stuff, like Hank Aaron 54 tops, PSA 10 rookie, top 2, I'd probably, hell would have to freeze over before that thing, left my collection, I think.
I get that.
So.
Let's talk about, I've had this feeling. I can't think of the card, but, do you have like a card that you regret selling or trading? I'm sure you have a bunch, right?
Yeah. I was an idiot in like 2016, maybe 17. I sold some Jordan stuff that I like didn't like. I don't know why. Like I didn't actually, believe it or not, I didn't love the Star 101 rookie card XRC. I don't remember why. I just like I don't know. I had a moment of weakness. I sold my BGS 85, which was a really nice card. It was centered well, which is rare for that card. Yeah, and sold that. I sold. I mean, honestly, every time I've sold something, I've regretted it. A lot of my duplicate. That's just because prices have gone up, but usually it's because I missed the card. My biggest weakness is when I have two of something. I like kind of am open to trading the other one. That's like, and so I have friends who like constantly look through my Flickr account to try and find something I have two of, which is smart on their part. And then every now and then I'm open to it, in a moment of weakness. And so, like it's usually stuff like I had a raw LeBron of every rookie card and a BGS 95 and I had most of them. And like 4 years ago, I like found the raw ones. So literally they were in a rubber band that like had disintegrated in a Tupperware that I hadn't opened in 15 years. And I had like an SP Authentic out of 500 auto, black refractor, tops chrome, like all these cards I paid less than $1,000 each for. Like most of them, I bet the whole, like I had one of every one, and I bet the whole thing was like $5,000 back in the day. And it was probably like whatever, $1 million worth of cards. I don't know, probably not that much, but probably like $500,000 at least. Anyway, yeah, like I sold the black refractor, before the run up for like $2,500 PSA 9, like shit like that. And it was just, but I already had a BGS 95, so I was like, oh, I don't need the PSA 9. Like I already have the, so those are examples. But the Jordan Star one is probably the ones that hurts the most, and it's not because the value. It's just I really liked the centering of it. I remember having it. I remember trying to find one that was really well centered, and that one was. And yeah, unfortunately, I moved it. So.
Yeah, no, I get that. You're a big 2012 Prizm buff. Is that like a phase right now, or is that your thing?
It's a good question.
I wanted to ask you that because I see it. You like those golds, and like I know people that have. There's a guy on Instagram that has tons of golds. I tagged you on it, and I don't think he's moving them.
Yeah, I don't know. I just really like the set for some reason. I really can't explain it. I actually don't really like Panini as a brand, as a card manufacturer in general. I like Prizm, their set. I really don't like their other stuff. National Treasures is okay. Exquisite was way better, maybe because they had Jordan and LeBron. But, I've never really been into like, Select and Mosaic and all those things. They seem so.
There's too much. There's too much.
It's not just there's too much, like it's lazy. Like the photos are like the same. They like the designs are too similar. There's way too many parallels. Like I don't understand like zebra and all this like it just to me the simplicity of Tops and Fleer Skybox and Upper Deck, and again I'm like the old guy now, like saying the new generation's ruining it, but I don't know, I'm not a big fan. But weirdly Panini Prizm, like the base product to me reminds me of Topps Chrome, maybe because it's a total knockoff, but the designs are cooler than Topps Chrome. I don't love the millions of parallels, so I just collect the simple ones like silver prisms and golds and stuff. But yeah, it's probably also too because I like that rookie class, and there's no other card from that year I like. So yeah,
I get that. Do you have like a player you PC? Like I was telling you about DeMarcus Cousins. That's my guy. I love collecting him. People at the show will bring me cards of him and just like, hey man, here you go. I love that feeling. Do you have like a player like that for you?
well, definitely LeBron and Jordan.
They're pretty good.
Yeah, like someone that's not like mainstream, not really. I used to collect Gerald Green. I think I've admitted before, which is a horrible decision.
Why him? The flair?
Well, I was from Houston. He's from Houston. I remember seeing a highlight demo reel of his before he was drafted, like insane jumping ability and all that. And this is a little, sorry, Gerald Green, for what I'm about to say, but like I remember my college roommate being like, he only has 9 fingers, right? And this is after I had invested all this money. I was like, oh my God, like I invested in someone who like can't palm the, like, I'm not saying that's why he didn't turn out to be the next Kobe, but I remember just being like, oh no, like, did I just, invest in someone who's not going to ever, but he turned out to be a great NBA player, role player and dunk contest winner and all. So it wasn't all bad, but that was probably the one guy I collected for a while that like wasn't, the obvious, or like one of the superstars.
I get that. So, you obviously collect LeBron and Jordan. Like a lot of modern people are on that. We don't like, I don't know. We don't know what's going to happen, but like Trae Young, John Morant, Luka, I don't know if you could pick like a player from like the last 3 to 5 years that like, not that you collect, but you're like, okay, this guy has some flair. Like this guy could be like, generational.
Yeah. I mean, well, part of me is a little like nervous and scared that like these guys that you just mentioned, like their prices are the same, if not higher than like, Hall of Fame players and their refractor, like Chris Paul, like refractor, like his rookie cards are cheaper than like, Patrick Williams. So it's just, I don't know what's going on that. I think a lot of it's just, speculation, people getting over their skis, but yeah, I really think John Morant is going to be special. I know you said you don't like him. Zion, I was a hater of just because I don't see how he like, I'm not a doctor, but like how he could potentially be that athletic for so long.
Remember Blake Griffin?
Yeah.
And that's when I collected that's why everyone that collects Zion, I'm just like, dude, I just went through this with Blake Griffin. Like
Blake Griffin wasn't Zion's level though. Like, in my opinion, Blake Griffin was just a leaper. Like he didn't have any sort of like handle or touch like Zion does. So I think Zion's potentially really special, but like, I'm just nervous. I'm willing to admit I was wrong on that one. I mean, he's proving to be quite special. I just hope it lasts. Luka's awesome though, man. Like I think that guy is still underrated. I don't love his shot. Like it's a little broken to me. Like, I know he makes it, but like, I don't know, he'll go like 0 for 11 from 3 in a game. Like you just can't do that at his level if you want to be a champion or whatever. So I'm a bit nervous about that, but like everything, the guy is the closest thing I've seen to LeBron, since LeBron, like as far as complete game and size and, like competitiveness and like all that stuff and like flashy too. Like he makes plays. We were like, you don't see that anymore.
Yeah. The flair and likability is there, man.
Yeah, he's got it. He's got what LeBron had or has. He's the same with Steph Curry. He's got what Steph Curry, like, he'll have games where you're like, no one can do that except like Curry and LeBron. And so he's definitely the third best player in I think Harden's awesome as a player. I just do not want him on my team if I were a coach. Durant's awesome, but like can't stay on the court and, he's an amazing talent, but like, I don't know if I would, doesn't seem to have the durability anymore. So I don't know. I'd pick Luka over most of the new guys.
Is there any modern players that like you have your chips in, or are you just staying away from that?
No, I have John. I have a bunch of stuff. I have a bunch of cards of Ja and Luka.
I do like Ja, man. I think he's gonna be great.
Yeah. I mean, look, being a point guard in this league's hard. Like name me a point guard, that's, you know, a superstar. You know, it's always the 6'8", you know, power forward, versatile player. It frankly has been for a long time. Like Steve Nash, you know, Chris Paul, like you kind of have, but like even those guys aren't like premier as far as collecting, and you know, Curry's not really a point guard. So I don't know. In my opinion, that's the one knock on Jaws. Like, you know, it's been, you know, the point guards don't really get the hobby love. I don't know why, but you know, kind of need to be a shooting guard. His shot's not really what makes him good. So it's a shooter's league now, right? It's nothing more than that. It's all about your stats, points per game.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you're pretty active in the Instagram community for where you're at. You know, most people just sit behind the sidelines and just make a bunch of money and do that. But like, you're like, I'm going to say it, you're one of us. And that's kind of cool to see you're involved. I mean, you said you're on Blowout, but you know, how does it feel to be a part of the Instagram community? Instagram's huge. Like I was on YouTube in 2010 and like, it was big when we would just open our mail and scream about like Blake Griffin, rookie autos, and Hashim Thabit and all these other guys. And then now it's like Instagram's just technology, man. I think like staying current, it's kind of cool, right?
Yeah, I love Instagram. I mean, I remember making the decision to create a card account because I was seeing some friends of mine in the hobby doing it. I kind of was like, well, Blowout's fine. Like, I was kind of using Facebook a little bit, but like I didn't really see the point of showing. I had Flickr, so like if people needed to see my bucket of cards that were for trade or whatever, they could go there. I didn't really get it. And then some people helped me understand the value of allowing people to enjoy other people's collections for inspiration. Like I certainly got inspiration from people like Spinatron, my friend Bob Mtrack, who's on there. I won't say his real name, but like, you know, there's a bunch of guys like that who I've seen their collections. I'm like, wow, like I need to be better in these 10 or 15 different ways. And Instagram was a great mechanism. And I got really encouraged when I started posting like cards that like not necessarily even high end, but like unique cards that other people would start commenting, being like, oh, I've never seen that card. Like I'm going to go buy this one. Or, hey, what do you know about this? And so it became an awesome way to interact. It's way easier to just DM someone and stuff than like direct messages through forums. And the other thing I love is like people now reach out to me like, hey, are you interested in this card? And so I buy cards all the time now for my collections that I never knew were out there, but someone DMs me on Instagram. It happens like almost every day. You know, like, hey, are you interested in this? I'm like, oh, actually, yeah. You know, I don't think I would have had that opportunity, you know, if I didn't have the Instagram account. So yeah, I'm a big fan of it.
That's cool, man. Yeah. I mean, the fact that you network and like just want to be with all of us, it's cool. I don't know. I like it. I always thought that was cool when you like, as soon as you agreed, I was just like, oh, wow, this guy is just totally like down to do this. Okay. So it was cool. I told some of my close friends, I'm like, dude, I'm having Nat Turner on the podcast. Like, dang. So I really appreciate that. All of us do, man. Like all the people at the shows are like, oh, like Nat Turner, you see that gold Prizm, or he's open in 2012. Like, oh my God, you know? So it's cool, man. It's fun. It's fun to see for sure. You get asked about PSA a lot, you know, and in this interview, you've talked a lot about it. So in this interview, you know, I wanted to end it with some PSA questions with you, you know, and the first question I want to, you know, kind of get at is, did you ever imagine yourself like acquiring like PSA, like how you did? Like, how did you feel knowing that like you could, like, I can see what you're going to do. You're going to change the industry essentially with like modern technology and some other things, obviously you have planned, correct?
I hope so. I mean, that's the whole point. I mean, PSA is a great company. It was already, you know, I don't have to do much there other than, you know, give them the freedom and the push on technology investment. You know, we've got really big plans. You know, we just acquired this company, Genimate, to do computer vision grading as part of our grading process as a supplement. You know, tons of engineering and software investment going on right now there. We're recruiting every day for people to come over from the tech world into PSA and the other brands that we have like PCGS for coins. So yeah, I wouldn't say I never thought of it. I mean, 3-4 years ago, it was on my mind actually. I really wanted to do something with them. I'd reached out to Joe, who's the CEO, to voice my support and like anything I could do to help, you know, as a technology person. Which was hard to do unless, you know, I was actually involved. You know, it's hard to do from the sidelines, and so it didn't work out at the time. But I don't know. It felt really natural. Like when I was going through the process with them, it just felt like this is what I was like, like really excited about and what I wanted to do. So it didn't feel weird at all to me, just because I knew so much about the hobby and the industry. It wasn't like, some random company that I like, thought was a good investment. Like this is way more than that to me. So yeah, it wasn't that outlandish.
It's a big part of,
Yeah.
and it's been a huge part of your life, and like you can actually like to like, I think anybody, like if you could make changes to things and you could actually put your voice out there and do it, I think the fact that you can put that into action, I mean, what more could you ask for, right?
Right.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, shoot, that's what's up. Let's talk about longevity. The next 5 years of sports cards. Do you have any like predictions or how this thing's gonna flow?
Um, I don't have probably anything like revolutionary. I mean, I think one thing is I'm hoping more than like expecting is the leagues to go non-exclusive with trading cards. So I would love to see Panini have some competition from Topps and an Upper Deck, for example. Like I'd love to see Topps Chrome basketball again.
Oh,
I'd
that'd
love
be
to,
sick.
yeah, I'd love to see Finest. I'd love to see, SP Authentic from Upper, like those sorts of things. I'd love to see the old Fleer Skybox stuff, IP that like Metal, like Upper Deck owns the rights to that stuff. So that'd be one thing. I really think cards will be more of an alternative asset in the future. So I think you're going to see a lot more infrastructure around understanding the value of collections and tracking and portfolios, and hopefully that it translates to a lot more people being involved. I really do think you're going to see more kids, at card shows. You're already seeing it. But I think that's a great thing. I think the hobby is going to be really healthy in 5 years. I'm nervous on some of the cards, like I said, just like I don't understand how some of these like super modern rookie cards are more expensive than their like Hall of Fame counterparts. That just doesn't compute. I mean, my hope is that means the older cards will just rise in value, as opposed to the newer cards decreasing in value. But there's a lot of undervalued players out there like Dwayne Wade. Like, how is he less expensive than like Michael Porter Jr.? Like, it doesn't make sense.
Don't you think that's because like people can, it's high. Like, I don't know. I talked about this recently with somebody, don't you think it's hype, the fact that you can, on a night you can watch the guy.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? Like that's like,
I know I know.
that's not the intrinsic value of the card, because anyway, I agree with you. I'm just saying that's the part that like, which one goes down, or does neither, and one goes up. But again, I think overall the hobby's gonna be a lot better off in 5 years than it is now, and today it's so much better than it was even 6 months ago. So
I get that. Would you say that, like, PSA shutdown, just quickly on this, did you guys do it? Like, I don't know if it was your decision or who it was, but did you guys do it so you could catch up the backlog? Because I know they're like, I call it during discount week when everyone was submitting the last two raw, people were flying out to PSA. Did you guys do that for that?
actually, yeah, to be honest, I wasn't really involved in the decision. I have to give kudos to the team there. Like they came to me and they're like, just so you know, this is what we think. If you object, let us know. And I said, look, do whatever you have to do. It was primarily, the power surge that I call it. We had when the price change leaked. We had a complete influx, like avalanche of cards in March that broke the system, for lack of a better word. Like we just couldn't tell people their boxes had shown up, which that's the line. Like I think it's understandable to tell people with transparency, like, hey, it's going to take you 6 to 7 months to get your cards back. That's not great, but like at least we can tell you the cards are in the building. And like for a little bit of time there, for actually even up until recently, like we couldn't even tell you the cards were in the building. So we had all these people kind of like, hey, what's this, like, did they make it there safely? Like that's not okay. And so that's why we did it, is to catch up on receiving, where like we can actually scan every card in, like we can get everything processed and ready for grading. We will catch up on grading too, by nature of not having new influx. But that was the primary reason.
I get that. All right, last question. You talk about LeBron a lot. Is he your GOAT?
No, Jordan.
All right. All right. Thank God you said that.
Let's see what he does.
All right, man. Hey, Nat, I want to thank you so much for being on the podcast. And,
Of
this is
course.
just keep doing it, man. You're paving the way for a lot of us, man. You're amazing. Thank you.
Thanks.